Measuring angles and special angles, 10.1. To start off the lesson, I would ask opening discussion questions such as, what do you know about angles and what is an angle? This discussion would be going around the room and having each student name something that they think is related to an angle or anything they may know of angles or have heard about them. This is more of an open-ended discussion just to kind of gauge where students are at in their knowledge and what they may already know. Today we're learning about how we measure angles and some kinds of special angles. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand and identify what complementary and supplementary angles are, explain what an angle is, measure angles with a protractor, as well as identify acute, obtuse, right, and straight angles. What is an angle? An angle is formed when two rays have a common endpoint called the vertex. In the image shown on the board, the vertex of the angle is point B, right where that little blue area is, in between the pink line and the gray line. You can think of it like this. One ray stays still and the other rotates around the vertex. We use small curved lines to show the opening between the rays. That's the angle. The size of the opening tells us how far apart the rays are from each other. An angle measure rotation is the amount of turn, or the angle formed when a ray or a point is turned around to fixed points called the center of rotation. This also means how much one returns from another. Now that we know what an angle is, let's talk about how to measure one. We measure angles in degrees, written with the little degree symbol like how it shows in the yellow box, such as 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 360 degrees. A full circle is divided into 360 degrees. So when we measure an angle, we're really describing how much of that full turn the angles take up. Looking at the circles on the board, you can see one circle is 90 degrees. That is a quarter of a turn around the circle. Another circle is 180 degrees, which is a half of a turn around the circle. And the final circle is 360 degrees, which is a full circle. Now we will be putting all of our angle knowledge that we have learned and put it together to use a protractor. A protractor is what you use to measure angles. So how to measure with a protractor? First, you place the center hole on the vertex of the angle. Next, you line up one ray of the angle with the zero line of the protractor. Third, you read the measure where the other ray crosses the number scale. Here is a video to show you how to do it.
Again, we line that center marker with the vertex point, and we also want the flat horizontal portion of the protractor perfectly aligned with the bottom line, okay, our bottom ray that makes up our angle. So now we can use the top ray, in this case the line that starts at point L and goes through point M, and see what measurement it is aligned with on the protractor. So the protractor shows us that angle MLN has a measure of 60 degrees. So our conclusion is that angle MLN is 60 degrees, and we are finished with this question. So this is a little bit more practice helping you to understand how to use a protractor to find the measure of a given angle.
So now we are going to be doing a worksheet where you can find your own angles. First, you are going to find the vertex. Look for the point where the two lines of the angle meet. This is the vertex. The vertex of this point is labeled O. Second, you are going to place your protractor. Put the center point of your protractor, it usually has a little hole in the middle, right onto the vertex of the angle. 3, you are going to line up the base. Make sure one of the lines of the angle line up to the 0 mark on your protractor. That is the 0 degree mark. 4, you are going to read the measurement. Look at where the other line of the angle crosses the number on the protractor. That number tells you the size of the angle in degrees. For the first angle, the answer will be a total of 90 degrees. The next 3 problems of this worksheet students will try on their own. I will be walking around the classroom to see how students are doing and helping individuals as they need it. Now we are going to be talking about different types of angles. Some of these angles you may notice from the protractor activity. First, we have an acute angle. This is an angle that is less than 90 degrees. Some people call it the small angle. Next, we have the right angle. This adds up to exactly 90 degrees. It's also similar to a square or a rectangle. Third, we have an obtuse angle. This is an angle that is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. An 180 degree angle is called a straight angle. This is essentially just a straight line. Last, we have supplementary and complementary angles. Supplementary angles are 2 angles that add up to 180 degrees. In the picture, there is a 105 degree angle and a 75 degree angle. Together, those add up to 180 degrees. Then looking at the complementary angle, that is 2 angles that add up to 90 degrees. In the picture, it shows 2 angles that are each 45 degrees. 45 plus 45 equals 90 degrees. Now that we have learned all the different types of angles, we are doing an activity called the Angle Explorer activity. This is 2 strips of paper that are held together by a pin. Students will be asked to make their own, and they will be finding different degrees such as 60 degrees, 90 degrees, and identifying complementary degrees and supplementary degrees. Now we're going to put all of our knowledge into practice on some try your own problems. The first problem is if one angle measures 45 degrees, what is the measure of its complementary angle? Second, if one angle measures 110 degrees, what is its supplementary angle? And third, 2 angles form a straight line. One of the angles measures 115 degrees. What is the measure of the other angle? What type of angle pair is this? This activity will be more of an exit ticket for students, for them to try and for me to collect to assess students' understanding of the content that they have learned today, and so I know what I need to work more on with my students. And yeah, in the end, I also included some points, kind of just more for myself, so I know and students know what they should be getting out of this lecture. And yeah, just kind of the main points. And yeah.